Hello and welcome back to the next segment in our video series, A Fascinating Conspiracy of Factors. And today we're talking about technology and the explosion of technology. Remember, we talked about religion and business. We've discussed some of those things and how that's one factor. The erosion of those has led to this point in history where mankind is asking itself to try something new. Now we're talking about the amazing explosion of technology, which brings us to this high watermark in human consciousness. And we're going to get into that. But first I want to tell you this parable of the stick. So, in a faraway land, there lived a man who had a stick. Every morning he got up and dug in the dirt under the hot sun with his stick to make a garden so his family could survive. And the work was very hard, and the man could only get just enough food from his patch of land to barely feed his children. He had no time for anything else and fell asleep in his hut every night, aching from his labor. One day a traveling salesman came by and watched the man for a long time. Finally he tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Let me show you a magical tool which will change your life. You'll have more food than you can imagine, and you'll have plenty of free time to sit with your friends in the village and sing and dance and drink wine." Well, the man was distrustful at first, but that sounded pretty good. And so the salesman brought the plow and showed him its fine sharp blade and the two handles and the way he could harness his sons or maybe even an ox to help him pull it. And the man was amazed at all this, and he agreed to pay the stranger with 3 pigs and a fine spear. And the plow fulfilled its promise. After 2 seasons, the man had cultivated all of his land and grew so much food that he had more than enough for his family. He began trading the excess crops and soon became a rich farmer with many cows and a very large hut. But he did not spend his time with his friends in the village singing and dancing and drinking wine. Instead, he went abroad and learned of bigger, faster plows, which he purchased and brought back to his farm. But the plows were hungry for more land to till, so the man bought up the land and the dirt of his miserable neighbors, and his estate grew very large indeed. But the day came when the man woke up and wanted to go sit with his friends in the village. He had more food than his family would need for a whole lifetime, maybe even more. But as he stood in his doorway, ready to enjoy a day of rest and relaxation, he was dismayed because his plows had gathered and stood barring his path. "Where are you going?" they asked. "I'm going to the village to sit with my friends and enjoy the fruits of my fields." "Oh ho, you will do no such thing," said the plows. "We are hungry for more land, and you will feed us today. You have no time to rest, silly man. Get back to work and be busy." So sadly, the man put down his guitar and his wine bottle and laced up his boots for another day of work on the farm. And this is the story of technology in our world, isn't it? As you can see, this isn't just a simple fable. It doesn't have a simple moral. We can say, because of this, then we have to do this, or we should do this. It's not that simple, is it? The man traded his primitive technology, his stick, for finer tools, for better tools. And those tools gave him wonderful things up to a point, didn't they? So as we examine one of the fascinating factors which brings us to such a critical place in human history, I want you to put your hand in your pocket right now and take out your phone, pull out your phone. If you're like most people, you have a smartphone, which is about the size of a candy bar, and you can use this amazing little device to connect with people all over the world, a whole world of information, and you can connect with other people through that. You can write a blog post, you can chat with friends all over the place on social media. You can transfer money in your bank account. You can buy a sweet pair of shoes at Macy's online. You can shoot a video out your window of your car and upload it to YouTube, and people all over the world can see it. And if you want to, you can even, dial a phone and make a phone call, talk to somebody if you really felt like it. So technology, wow, if you think about it, our lives don't look anything like they used to, not even just 100 years ago. And 100 years in the span of human history is just a blip, just a blink, just 100 years. And we've actually taken enormous leaps forward with all this technology. But I believe that's actually brought us to a tipping point. So we have this amazing potential, and that's the organizing principle behind my series here. We have this potential energy, the ability to create and produce and do new things that people haven't ever been able to do before. But we're also sort of in this weird spot right now, aren't we? Because as you've gathered from my short parable here of the stick, we have these tools, but in some ways we've not used them to fulfill their promise, which is to create more fulfilled lives, create more free time, allow us more opportunity, more margin in life to find out who we really are and to self-actualize and to enjoy ourselves. And that was kind of the stated purpose. Let's make our lives better. But in many ways we haven't done that. And so we're at this weird spot. Now there's a sucker's choice implied in this, right? A sucker's choice where we have to pick one thing or the other. There's two options, we got to pick one or the other. One thing is, let's go back to the way things were before. And you hear many people talk about that. Let's do away with technology. I suggest that most of those people haven't probably had to do like I did as a kid and chop wood and carry water at times, or feed chickens and pigs at 5 o'clock in the morning. If you've done that, you might have a little different idea about getting rid of all technology. But then on the other side, you have the people who just say, yeah, we need to just go as fast and as far as we possibly can. We're going to find the answers through more of this technology. But that sort of ignores the fact that we've gotten ourselves in a position of leading stressed out, burned out, isolated lives, doesn't it? So here we are with this question. What do we do with our technology? What do we do with our tools? I suggest to you that the answer isn't a matter of a sucker's choice, one or the other. I suggest to you that we're in a place where we're actually asking ourselves to grow up. We're actually asking ourselves to take responsibility for our own creations. We're actually asking ourselves to take a middle path between these two extremes, going as fast as we can, as far as we can, and seeing if maybe there's an answer if we can get a little bit faster, a little bit smarter, or the other extreme of going all the way back and just getting rid of all of our stuff, right? So I suggest to you that there's a middle path where we can become very intentional, and that's what I think we're asked to do right now at this point in history, is become extremely intentional with what we're creating. No longer just create unconsciously, create reactively. I believe we're asking ourselves to wake up and take back control of the machines that we've built, all of our machines, our businesses and our technologies and the way we communicate with each other and all these things. All of them can become a trap if we're not careful. And so I'm suggesting to you that we are at this tipping point, this high watermark, this point of peak potential in human history right now. And the way we go from here, the way we live from here, is going to tell us a lot about what's going to come next. So what do you think about this? How do we live carefully, intentionally, and with great joy and fulfillment? How do we take back the control and take back responsibility for our own lives and begin finding more ways of being fulfilled, more connected with nature, more connected with our families and our friends and our communities and all that stuff? How do we do that in a day when we have all of this technology, which in some cases seems to have become our master? Let me know what you think. I'm fascinated by this conversation. Thanks very much.